Namaste, and welcome to another episode of Waking Up with Jessica. I am so excited to introduce my guest today, my yoga teacher, and the incredible Victoria Goodhart. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's really interesting to have you sitting right in front of me because the only times we've really interacted was during yoga class. So I get to interview you today. How amazing is that?
I love it.
So I'm just going to introduce you to the viewers. I got a bio about you because people may not know who you are. So I'm going to tell you all who she is because she's a very interesting woman. Victoria Goodhart is a vibrant and hailing soul from Maine. As a Kundalini yoga and meditation instructor, she discovered the true essence of her practice through teaching. Victoria is a seasoned performer, director, and writer for both stage and screen, with having owned her own theater company 3 times in her life. Beyond the spotlight, she has a rich history from delivering pizzas on a moped to driving a cab for Lightning Taxi. Some of her passions include cooking, baking, boogie boarding, which I seen you do when we went to the beach that one day, dancing to 60s, 70s, 80s rock, organic gardening, which your treats that you bring to class are so amazing. Reading aloud with her husband, Peter, who I've met one time. He came and played that really interesting instrument.
Oh, that's right.
Knitting 2 hats a day. Crafting art through clothing and decor. Pickleball and lots of laughter.
Yes.
Welcome, Victoria.
Yes, this is fun. This is fun to be here with you and get to know you and have you get to know me a little bit.
Definitely. So yoga, let's talk about yoga because I feel like there is a big misconception about yoga, especially here in the West. How did you get involved in yoga and how do you see yoga in the States versus in India? Because it's very different. I mean, yoga is like a religion in India versus in America where all these girls are wearing their expensive Lululemons. They got the implants, the butt implants, full lashes, makeup, going to yoga, taking pictures.
Yes. There's selfies.
Yes.
Right. Well, I first experienced yoga in probably 1985. I had moved here to Los Angeles from the East Coast in 84, and the Olympics were here in 84.
Wow.
So that was a strange time to come here. I didn't know that was going on, and wow, I mean, they really treated the homeless back then brutally and would put them on buses and bus them out to the desert and just leave them out there. It was a crazy time.
Wow.
I call it the Wild West back there in the 80s out here in LA. But anyway, in 85, a friend of mine said, "Will you go to a yoga class with me?" And I had just come off of being like a punk rocker. I was like, "No, I will not do yoga. Thank you very much." And then he kept begging me to go. So I said, "All right, I'm going to go." And so the very first kind of yoga that I learned was Kundalini yoga. And I went to that class and was forever changed. And this is true. A lot of people will say that about different events that happened in their life, but just that one class, I just couldn't wait to go to the next class and the next one and the next one, and I was totally in. I loved it because it was unexpected. I didn't expect to have a class that did exercises, that chanted mantras, that laughed, that moved to music. I mean, it just incorporated a lot of things that I feel passionate about and love to do naturally.
Wow.
So I was a natural Kundalini yogi. And as we all know, when things come a little bit easy to us, we tend to gravitate towards them. Not to say that Kundalini yoga is always easy. As you know, it's quite challenging. And I'm always telling my students, we challenge ourselves by taking these classes so that when those challenges during our daily life are just thrown at us, we are better equipped to handle them. And that is a major part of why I was doing yoga, because I definitely was a crazy young person. And
what's your star sign?
Gemini.
Okay. My mom's a Gemini, so I get
it. That must have been interesting growing up.
Oh, yeah. Still is.
I still feel for my kid who's now 25, and
yeah.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yes. My mom,
Right?
I don't know. I don't know where Geminis get their energy from.
Yeah, I'm just going all day long. Wake up really early, go to bed late. But when I hit that pillow, I'm out.
You're done.
That's it.
Done for.
Yeah.
Did you move around a lot?
And we moved around as when I was a kid. And then I think I wrote one thing in that bio that I've lived in at least 50
Wow.
different places during the course of my life so far.
In the States? Or?
In the States.
Wow.
Really slowed down now that I had gotten married and had a kid, and I wanted to stay put for a while, so I did. But
You lived your hippie life.
I did. I really,
in the 80s.
I never wanted to get married. I never wanted to have kids. I never wanted the big, beautiful house. And I ended up having everything I never wanted, and I loved it.
Wow.
And I was the happy homemaker for probably 15 years, close to 20 years, and it was great. I just enjoyed every minute of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you have one child.
So one child,
Which
and
I met
yes,
at the beach.
that's right, Kay, and
I didn't know at first that he was trans.
yes, so
I saw
he's-
the incisions from the breast removal,
Yes.
and then I just put two and two together, and then I talked to Joy, and I'm like, wow, that's really amazing. So I'm sure as a mother, you've learned just so much through that experience.
It's
what was
been
that like for
such
you?
a journey. At first, Kay was dating trans people, and I was not on board, and I knew nothing about any of it, any of that world. And then as time went on, Kay came out to us, but really didn't have to, because we knew at that point what was going on, and it was harder for him to come out than for us to accept him. And so I'm saying he and him. He would prefer they and them, but it's very difficult for my husband Pete and I to do they and them. We've just been wrapped on the knuckles from an early age that you don't use that pronoun for a single person, and
Yeah, sure.
so that's been a challenge. But now that it's acceptable to Kay for us to say he and him, we're able to do it a lot easier.
I mean, he looks just like a guy.
Yes.
So there's like no clocking at all.
And the fun part about being non-binary is that we can go clothing shopping, and I can get him a couple of skirts or dresses, as well as overalls or,
Yeah,
pants. And yeah.
that's beautiful. How do you see trans people, non-binary people in like a spiritual sense?
Well, one thing I have noticed greatly with my students and pretty much every trans person that I've met has some mental health issues. And that is a blessing because it really brings us closer to our own individual spirituality. And I have my own mental health issues. I think actually everyone in the world has their mental health issues. It's just to what degree. And our kid, Kay, has some mental health issues, went to college for, got a degree in psychology and is now working in the field to kind of give back because he has had and still has a great support system. So that mental health piece of the trans community is very exciting to me because that's more people on board doing meditation and yoga and bringing our world a little more into balance. I'm always saying, we have yoga because yoga helps us to stay balanced in an unbalanced world. And it's always been unbalanced, and there have always been really horrible, always great times throughout history. But for us to have latched on to yoga and meditation now it's a huge deal. And I don't care what it is, if it's hot yoga or power yoga, anything that's bringing people closer to their spirituality I'm all for it. And I'm just the biggest cheerleader and coach for all of that. And, I'm always saying that yoga is just moving meditation. And it is. So the deeper you can go inward while you're doing your poses and postures and exercises, the more you're really in a meditation.
Totally. And I like what you said earlier about basically the real practice is off the mat. And I always have to remind myself about that in certain situations, where you're about to send that email or you're just about to go off on somebody. So I'm like, no, this is not what being a yogi is about.
Let's just take a moment before we push the button and breathe. Just simply closing our eyes and breathing for 1 minute. We all have 1 minute during our day to just turn things around a little bit.
I've had so many, I'm going to get very comfortable like you are. I've had so many blissful experiences at the cemetery. And if you guys are listening and you're wondering why we're mentioning the cemetery, it's because that's where we do yoga. And it may sound creepy to you, but it's actually a very peaceful experience. We're not doing it on graves. It's an open field.
It's Hollywood Forever, and the owner is also one of the Kundalini yoga teachers there, Tyler, and he explains very well how since the beginning of human beings' time here on this planet, they have been doing yoga and meditation in cemeteries because it's just you're getting in touch with all the past lives, all the present lives that are around, and all of that energy, especially in a cemetery like Hollywood Forever, very tranquil, very peaceful, very deep, a lot of good energy there.
Oh man, there's been so many times where I would lay down and you would do the gong bath, and I'm like, I would just be transported into a different dimension, and then I would just open up my eyes, and I'm like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go into the world. It's just so blissful. I just want to lay like this forever. It's just so amazing, and the feeling that you get when you leave.
That's it. And the more you come, the more chance you have of taking yoga and meditation off the mat when you're out there in the world. The more you do it, the more benefit you get on a daily basis.
Totally. And it's not about standing on your head. I think people do think yoga is standing on your head and
standing on
doing
your
all
head,
these ridiculous poses.
Twisting
That's
yourself up into a pretzel. It's not. Kundalini yoga, I just think, is the
my
best
favorite
one. And I've dabbled since I first started Kundalini with others. And it's just the same thing every time. And I understand wanting to perfect those postures and poses. But Kundalini is the fun yoga and the deep yoga. It's both at the same time because we do these crazy exercises, Waheguru. And then we also do a deep relaxation, a very deep meditation. It just has everything. And yeah, it's an amazing practice.
It really is. If you guys are in LA and you want to join us, you can find us on
Hollywood Forever's website. They have a
Instagram.
whole yoga page, and we do yoga now 7 days a week.
Oh, it's 7 now.
7 days
Good
a
to
week
know.
now. So some of them are indoors, and as winter approaches, we probably will have them indoors. But this space indoors at Hollywood
beautiful.
Forever, huge room, huge high ceilings, windows all around. There's always a cross breeze. So, if you're concerned about the pandemic, you are not breathing in everybody's air.
It's an experience.
It's an experience.
For sure.
There's a huge fireplace. We now have a huge house gong that I get to play, and it's the sound system is beautiful.
You mentioned the pandemic, and the past 2.5, 3 years have been insane energetically.
Yes.
There has been like this huge shift energetically that I feel like has happened ever since. And I don't know exactly what it is, or did it change people? What's your opinion about that?
From a Kundalini yoga standpoint, I will tell you that in the 80s, when I first discovered Kundalini, a lot of the teachers and the main teacher was predicting to the year what was going to be happening with us.
Because 2020 vision, right?
Right. That's right. And so it hit us hard because, I think a lot of us didn't want to listen to predictions that were out there in the world at the time. So we were as equipped as we were going to be as a Kundalini community, but that's a pretty small community for the whole world. And it's a time where mental illness is on the rise, craziness of all kinds. It's a crazy time, and that's why it is so important. I remember one of my close teachers of Kundalini Yoga saying to me, we are the ones. We have to be the ones that are the lighthouse, is how they put it. We are the lighthouse for the rest of the world. If not us, then who? And we can put that out there for all of the Kundalini Yoga students, all of the teachers, and then just anyone, any person. If we each individually were saying to ourselves, if not me, then who is going to keep our world sane? Mm-hmm. Wow, what a different world it would be.
Absolutely. I feel like from a spiritual standpoint, we all said yes to this incarnation. So we knew what our soul was going to get into. And I just feel like there's just been so many lessons learned in the past 3 years. And what I didn't like was just the people's personal decisions during the pandemic were ridiculed, and you were put into a box if you wanted the vaccine or didn't want the vaccine. And people were just totally fighting with their families,
right,
and all of that. And
it was a stressful time, and it remains stressful. Yeah. Very, very stressful. And you would think that families would come together during the times of stress, but I'll tell you, Pete and I learned quickly, early on with Kay's mental health issue, that no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
We were barking at each other and quacking at each other and at each other's throats through a lot of the difficult, most challenging times, dealing with our own issues as well as our kids. So, yeah, it's so interesting because that was a total surprise and shock to me that it wasn't making us closer and having us really be on the same team.
Yeah. There was just so much division during that time. My soul couldn't bear it.
Fear-based, anger-based, just a lot going on for people.
I feel like it brought out a lot of people's mental health issues as well. I remember I was sitting under a tree in Griffith Park, no mask, but under a tree outside reading a book, minding my own business, and this lady's yelling at me from like 10 feet away, put on a mask, what are you doing?
Yes.
I'm sitting outside reading a book. What are you, are you coming close to me? Like, there was just so much of this insanity during that time.
Yes, yes.
And I feel like that was just created by the media and just the fear. Fear will just really ruin somebody.
It really messes you up. So again, I go back to Kundalini yoga and meditation because we have plenty of tools in this practice to stay sane and to work on fear. We have many kriyas, which we call our sets, that are working on actual fear. And there are actual places in our bodies that are blocked with holding fear, holding anger. It's such a fascinating practice. So I'm a believer, and I just hope that we can keep spreading it to more and more people. And like I said, if they start out with power yoga, that they move on to a more spiritual practice with time. But hey, I love that that's the start.
So there may be people listening that don't know exactly what Kundalini is. Can you give us a brief rundown?
Well, it's a lot to do with the spine and the energy that runs up and down the spine. And it's a lot about the glandular system. We always are saying that the glands are the guardians of your health. So we're talking physical health, but also emotional health and spiritual health. So with these different exercises, postures, poses, we align our bodies, we align our spine, and we bring the positive in and we push out as best as we can any of the negative. And I'm talking pain, negative pain that's emotional as well as physical. So that's it in a nutshell. There's just so much more to it and so much information online for Kundalini yoga. I'm always encouraging people to look it up, see if it might be your cup of tea. If so, try a class. There's plenty of sets, or these kriyas that we call them, online, but I don't really recommend trying them on your own until you've really experienced a class either in person or on Zoom. During the pandemic, the whole way that we came to be teaching out at Hollywood Forever Cemetery was I was teaching in a very swank yoga studio here in Hollywood, and I had just opened my own home studio called the Yoga Garage, and it was in my garage, and it was quite beautiful. And then the pandemic hit, and nobody could teach indoors anymore. And so a friend of mine said, how about we teach on your back deck and in your backyard? And I said, okay, let's do it. So we taught there twice a week, and Tyler was already fully into Kundalini yoga. And so he would come to the classes there. And one time he said, wouldn't you want more room? How about, I'll give you a tour at Hollywood Forever and you can see where you might want to hold your classes. I said, that would be great. And so we chose that wonderful space where the reflection pool is in the field, and where they show the movies right across the field there. And then the rest is history. I mean, we used to teach that class. I don't know if you were a part of this. It started out being at 8 a.m.
I was.
Yes, I thought you were. Yeah. And, even in the winter, we didn't have an indoor space at that time. It is dedication. In the winter, we would all bundle up, but then we'd start shedding the layers as we moved. And it is a very active kind of yoga. And so it wasn't what people thought of yoga, of being more still. So it worked. And then we switched to the 9 a.m. and I think that's a lot better for a lot of us. And then I have the class on Saturdays indoors at 10:30 so people can sleep in. And the reason why we have it indoors at that time is on the weekends is when people want to visit their loved ones' graveside. And sure. Our classes can be a little bit loud. I do have people laugh occasionally because there is such a thing as laughing yoga. Look it up.
Love that.
And
laughter boosts your immune system.
Oh,
there's so many
much.
Benefits of it.
So many.
No wonder why you love to laugh.
I love to laugh, and even watching a movie, I need some comic relief. I need to have, even serious subject matters.
People take this human experience so serious, don't they?
We do, and especially people coming into the class for the first time, not knowing what to expect. They want to get it right, and they're just very stressing themselves. And my classes, number one, is every class is a stress reliever. And then under that heading, it's amazing how many different kriyas we have. There's many for stress relief, but then there's some working on your immune system, working on depression, working on staying healthy during cold season. It's just endless. So,
during the span of your career, what are some breakthroughs and healings that you've experienced firsthand with some of your students?
Well, you mentioned the gong bath, and I always tell people never underestimate the power of a good gong bath, because I have students who cry during the gong bath, who laugh hysterically. These are uncontrollable reactions that just come up, and there are other reactions that come up that are just really out there. I've had one person sort of speak in tongues.
Wow.
And my own experience of gong baths, Jay, who's one of our instructors, gives a killer gong bath once a month. And he has at least 3 gongs that
at the cemetery.
Yes, that he's playing. And that is in that beautiful room where I teach on Saturdays. It's called the Eastern Star Room. So check out Hollywood Forever's website on the yoga page to find out everything that's going on. But that gong bath, when I go to his gong bath, I come out feeling renewed and restored, but not every time. If there's stuff that I'm working on that's heavy, I'll come out pretty inward, and I need to just be with myself for maybe a day or two.
Sure.
To really work through some of the stuff that came up emotionally. And believe it or not, things will come up physically as well. So if you have some kind of lower back pain or hip pain or knees, shoulder pain, that may come up during Kundalini yoga classes as well as gong baths, and you need to work through them.
Being tall, I've definitely had lower back pain, so sometimes you'll say, today we're going to be working on our backs. I'm like, oh my God, yes, this is for me. And it really does help.
It really does help.
Oh my God.
And again, the more you do it, the more help you get from it. And that lower back area is not a problem just for tall people, but for everyone. We store a lot of emotion in the lower back, a lot of anger in through the kidneys and the lower back. So to be able to release that, we bring in certain energy into our adrenal glands, all parts of the body that then will activate those areas and start to release those toxins. So it's something to try if you've never tried it. You may be surprised of your preconceived thoughts about yoga when you try Kundalini yoga.
There's been times where, like you said, it can bring a lot of emotional things up. And there's times where I just wanted to just get out of there as fast as I can because I felt very emotional.
And get home, go under the covers and hide.
I'm like, what is this? Oh, this is stuff that I need to deal with.
That's it. You're doing the work. Yeah. You're doing the work. And during the gong bath, you're letting that work go to work for you. And it's, change or die, really, right? We are just, all of us, each individually, a work in progress until we die.
Yeah.
And probably then some.
Yeah.
So
how do you view this human experience? Do you have a certain belief system? Do you believe that we will be reincarnated based on our karma? Or do you think when we die, that's it? Is there consciousness?
Well, that even is a work in progress. And over time, I've changed my mind quite a bit. At first, I really did think, when you die, that's it. Now I'm starting to wonder because I've been so in touch with different energy out there in the world that I know energy, it's such a real thing, no matter in what form, whether it's different people's souls or if it's different planets' energies. Mm-hmm. But there is heavy-duty energy out there, and to dismiss that and laugh that off, I think you're just showing your ignorance. And I was quite ignorant when I was younger about that world, that dimension, and other dimensions. And now I'm starting to just get a clue. There's still so much unknown, but I don't know if I even would say, well, I certainly hope that there's reincarnation, because I don't know how I feel about that. I have the soul I have, and it can be quite a stressed soul at times. There it was, right in my throat.
Throat chakra.
And at other times I'm a very jolly soul. Yeah. So it just runs the gamut. And I talk to my mom, and she's 85 and still doing everything and is in great shape, emotionally, physically, mentally. And she needs time to get back to herself once in a while, just like we all do. But she's always saying, I don't want to live forever. These people that want to live forever, I don't understand. I've had such a good run, and, when it's my time, I will be ready. So it's interesting for me to listen to my mother saying that, and knowing that I have my own thoughts that go in that direction sometimes.
How does our relationship with God, Source, Creator, influence our overall well-being and health?
Well, I think we've been saying it throughout this whole podcast interview today, that the more that we can go inward and make that a positive habit, the more we can start to rid ourselves and shed off the negative, and the greater energy that's out there my interpretation of it is that it's in each one of us. And even when you go to a 12-step program, you'll notice that all the other people in that community strive to hold you up, and you strive to hold them up. And there are millions of programs out there like that, including our Kundalini yoga, other yoga, meditation classes. And I just feel like that greater energy is in each of us and helping us individually and as a group.
It's a wonderful system. It helps me so much. I've done yoga in India. I've done yoga here. So I got to experience both. And it's, I wouldn't consider myself a yogi because it really is a lifestyle. I consider you a yogi. It's just we're doing yoga before you got here. But it is a whole lifestyle. It's not like you just go do it a couple times a month and put photos on your Instagram. It's a whole philosophy. It's a whole way of life.
It is. And I have a lot of nevers in my life. I've never done any drugs or alcohol. I've never listened or watched the news.
Wow.
I get updated from my husband.
Never watch the news.
I do not.
Wow.
I cannot.
I don't blame you.
And I am doing what I can in my corner of the world to make it a better place. And it's a challenge because, as I've said, I deal with my own issues. But those nevers have helped me greatly in my life to stay sane. And I will continue to live my life that way. I like to ride my bike as my main transportation, and I can drive, but why when I can be car free in LA, and just keep doing what I believe in, composting and growing some of my own food, and trying to dance and laugh every day, and trying to put myself out there to be there for other people when they need it. There's plenty of times where I do let people down because I need to take care of myself first. And I think that is a huge lesson for people to really experience. We all say that a lot. Oh, you've got to take care of yourself first. But then we don't do it. But to really live that and do that and make it a priority, that's what's going to help our world more than anything.
Absolutely. Honoring how you feel and not being afraid to communicate that. That's what it's about.
Yes.
And taking care of your mental health. That's so hard these days. There's just, you wake up, you're bombarded with all these different opinions, and you're supposed to respond to every Instagram message you get. And it's just like, I don't want to. I just want to be.
And I won't. I just won't do it. I need to take care of me. And when I have allotted the time to respond to that kind of a life, then I will respond and I will do it. But I got to stay sane. I got to keep laughing.
Same. And it's a practice.
It is.
It's not easy. Shifting gears, we just have a few more minutes left. Would you feel comfortable sharing your thoughts about the Israel-Palestine war?
As I said, I don't listen to the news. I don't keep up with it. Pete, my soulmate, keeps me abreast of some situations when I ask. Sure. And I am just feeling a lot of deep sadness for both sides. And I know that we always have something going on in our world, and it doesn't always get resolved right away. But to remember that everything keeps changing. Everything is changing, and change is everything. Yes. It's just going to keep evolving and changing. So my sadness will lift about this particular situation. And I think what I would love to do for the last 30 seconds is to just be lighthearted and see if we can laugh a little bit together.
Yes.
So let's do it.
What an experience this human experience is. We're just nothingness, really.
We're just here. Let's be here. Let's be here fully now.
Don't take yourselves too serious. We're just moving through this human experience, doing the best. Do the best that you can, and you are a success if you can get through it.
I agree.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for coming on my show. You shared so much great wisdom with people today, and I'm really grateful to have you in my life as a friend, as a yoga teacher. And those times on the mat are just so sacred to me. And if you're in Hollywood and you would like to join us, please follow Victoria.
Yes.
What's your Instagram?
So I'm two. One is yoga.yo for Instagram for everything yoga. And then Vic Goodhart is the personal one, and that one can get a little kooky.
You like kookiness.
Yes.
Whoa.
That was
See, I manifested
perfect timing. I love it.
Namaste, Hari Om. We love our lives.
Yes. Satnam.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.